Okay, we are going to try our quick map of the United States. Quick, relatively speaking, because there's a lot more United States than there are Canadian provinces. So obviously, when you go to try to memorize this, I suggest that you do it in chunks. Don't try to learn all 50 states at once. Just take some of the western states, practice that until you've got it, then add some more, and keep on moving east. Okay, we're gonna start with the Canadian border, like we did with Canada, only this time the Canadian border is at the top, not the bottom. Move a little bit to the left of center, make a mark. I'm gonna go almost to the edge, make a mark. Remember how we did our western border of Canada? There's a mark in the middle here. That's gonna be Manitoba. There. That's gonna be Saskatchewan there. We go about halfway and then back about halfway there. That's gonna be Alberta. I'm putting all this in because we're gonna tie our United States in so that they line up right with the provinces, so that when we draw them both together, we know how to put them together. There's British Columbia. Okay, so Washington and Oregon are going to come to about here. And then Idaho's panhandle is going to fit in right there. So they both come in actually before the end of British Columbia. Washington and Oregon, well, this is Washington's north border, and they're going to come down about let's see, about as far as the line, the southern border of British Columbia. It's about the same distance. So, and just make kind of a equal-sided square thing there. And then here's this border, comes down here. And that's Washington and Oregon. When we do our nicer map, we'll put the Olympic Peninsula in and stuff. We're not gonna worry about that for now. Washington, Oregon. Idaho, this southern border is level with the southern border of Oregon. It comes over to halfway across Alberta or a little bit further. And it goes straight up, not quite as tall as Oregon. And then it does this scoopy thing up to the panhandle. That's Idaho. Halfway across Idaho is the corner of Nevada. And the California-Nevada square, well, it's a square plus a little extra. So you're gonna come down about square, and then you're gonna give it a little bit more. This actually will zig over in a nicer map, but this is our simple map. So California-Nevada is gonna have a straight land border with Mexico a little bit there, and then it's gonna scoop up coastline to there. And about halfway across Oregon, down comes Nevada, and then it diagonals over to there. So, you know, like that. California, Nevada. Okay. Now we're gonna do Utah. Utah has a little dog leg there, and then comes down. And it comes down not all the way to the bottom of Nevada. There's Utah. Here's Arizona. Arizona would be square, except it diagonals down a little bit like that. Arizona. New Mexico has a little dogleg there. It's about square, but it's maybe a little bit of a tall square. New Mexico, and then Colorado comes over here, but it juts out a little bit past the edge of New Mexico. There's Colorado. Okay. Now, from here, lining up with New Mexico, or even set in just a little bit more, is the edge of Wyoming and Montana. Goes straight up to the Saskatchewan border. And then from the corner of Idaho here, there's Wyoming, and there's Montana. Groovy. Now we've got a stack of states, which I call the Ned Said Never Kiss OK states. Here's why. About 2/3 of the way across Manitoba is this border. This border was about 2/3 of the way across Saskatchewan. It's going to come down to halfway down Wyoming. And there's a rectangle, and you just split the rectangle in half. North Dakota, South Dakota, also known as Ned Said. Now Nebraska wraps around the corner of Colorado a little bit here, comes over here, and then the eastern border diagonals down a little bit. It's not a steep diagonal, it just drifts over a little bit. That's a river. And then the corner of Kansas diagonals down a little bit more, and then it's straight down from there. Ned Said Never, that's Nebraska. That's Kansas, kiss. And here comes Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got this little panhandle that goes over and touches New Mexico. Comes over a little bit of the way across Kansas, about half of the way down New Mexico, and then this is a river that jiggles over to there. Ned Said Never Kiss OK. Texas, the corner pops out just a little bit past Oklahoma and then comes down a little bit further down than the southern border of Arizona and New Mexico, about the same distance as this border, but a little less. And then it hits the Gulf Coast, and the Gulf Coast scoops down like that and comes a little bit past, makes this little horn here. And the border of Texas goes up and zag and up. Hits New Mexico there. That's Texas. All right. You might have broken this into a couple of chunks in order to memorize it. Now we're going from the western to the eastern half of the United States. Minnesota, the border slants down just a little. That's Ontario up there. You might remember how Ontario's border slants. The southern border of Minnesota is just north of the South Dakota southern border. And it comes over it's not quite as wide as these states, but like not far from the same width. And it's shaped kind of like a blacksmith's anvil, so it goes in like this, and then it comes out again and has this point like the one of an anvil there. This is, that's Minnesota, and this is Iowa. Border, again, is just north of the Nebraska border, and Iowa zags out and in again. This whole thing is the Mississippi River, and it sort of waves back and forth. So for Iowa, it goes out and in again. Iowa. Now Missouri just goes out. Missouri. Missouri's border ends south of the Kansas border. So it goes from a little north of the Nebraska border to a little south of the Kansas border. A tall state. Then Arkansas comes in again, and it wraps around the corner of Texas a little. And then Louisiana continues to come in, and then it's kind of a boot or a Converse high top sneaker kind of thing. So there's the top of it, and then it comes out here. And the sole of the sneaker is pretty raggedy. This is the coast. So Arkansas, Louisiana. I remember it by many idiots missed the arc late. Okay, now I'm going to do the southeastern states. This border of Arkansas and Missouri, you just extend about the same length as the Oklahoma top border-ish, and that's the north border of Tennessee. Tennessee's south border is not quite halfway down Arkansas, and the east border slants quite sharply that way. So it's a lot longer on the north edge than on the south edge. There's Tennessee. Now, this is Mississippi. Just touches the Gulf. It's got a little bitty bit of coast real estate. And then another little bitty bit of coast real estate. And Alabama almost mirrors Mississippi, although the border is a little bit less diagonal. There's Alabama. And then Georgia just sneaks in and touches the corner of Tennessee there. And Georgia's about the same width as Alabama and Mississippi on its southern border. But then it's got a little bit of Atlantic coast, and then it's got a slant up there. There's Georgia. Now, this north border of Tennessee becomes the north border of North Carolina, and it's going to go out. So here's your Georgia coast. It goes pretty diagonally northeast to there. This is like Cape Hatteras. And then the border between North and South Carolina. South Carolina takes a little chunk out. South Carolina, North Carolina. And here's the coast. At Florida, the coast turns around and goes a little bit east of south. And Florida's this sort of flipper that sticks down here. Makes a little S-curve up there. That's not a very good Florida, but whatever. And then it's got a long panhandle. Florida. Okay, there's our southeast. Now I find this part tricky. Kentucky and Illinois and all these states are not nice and square like the western states, but this is Illinois and Kentucky. The Ohio River goes kind of sharp, kind of diagonally northeast for just not very long. And then the Illinois border is going to go up. It's going to go up just a little past the point of Iowa there. It's a tall state. But then Lake Michigan comes down and cuts off the corner of it, and a little curve. Here's Illinois. Here's Indiana. Ooh, ooh. The top of Indiana just touches the lake, but it doesn't really scoop back up. The bottom of Indiana scoops over like that. It's a little curve. It's still coming a little bit north, but it's a lot flatter than the Illinois part of the river. There's Indiana. Then Ohio is sort of shaped like a shield. It goes south, and then it comes north again, farther than it went south. And the top is just a flat border for about the first third, and then here's Lake Erie. Lake Erie is a big oval that goes east-northeast. It's not very steep, but it's maybe like a 30-degree angle. And it touches Ohio and Pennsylvania and also part of New York. There's Ohio. Here's Kentucky. Kentucky has a little point that sticks out and then it comes back. It ends about the same line as Tennessee's, this part of Tennessee. There's Kentucky. Pennsylvania is a rectangle. It comes over here and it just touches Lake Erie and comes over here, about level with the top of North Carolina. And then it's got an eastern border that's a little jagged, but it's more or less shaped like a pennant, sort of. Zip, 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 zip. There's Pennsylvania. From this first zag of the pennant, we just sort of do a little Pac-Man there, and that's New Jersey. And from the bottom of New Jersey, there's a teeny little slice, triangle slice, that is Delaware. And Delaware is the first part of this Chesapeake Peninsula. It comes down and then goes back up. This is the Chesapeake Bay that makes a big inlet almost to the Pennsylvania border, but not quite. Now Virginia comes from the point of Kentucky here and kind of scoops up to the Pennsylvania, almost to the Pennsylvania border, and then down and catches the coast about halfway down there. There's Virginia. And this is a little oversimplified, but close enough. You put a line there. This is West Virginia, and this is Maryland, is both this half and this part of the Chesapeake Peninsula. Okay, now New York State. Here's Lake Erie. From Lake Erie, I think it's the Niagara River, goes north a little bit and hits Lake Ontario. Lake Ontario sticks back west a little bit from the edge of Lake Erie, and then it goes over here. It's almost the same size as Erie, a little bit smaller. And then the border of New York kind of arches up there, almost level with New Jersey. New York sneaks in, grabs just a little bit of the ocean, and Manhattan Island is in there, but that's small. And then the border goes straight north. There is New York State. Probably ended up a little shorter than it should be, but oh well. Now, the coast is almost straight over, drifts a teeny bit north of straight. And here's a little Connecticut, and here's even a littler Rhode Island. Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then Massachusetts has its funny little hook there, that's Cape Cod, and comes up here, Massachusetts, and then the coast goes this way and then almost diagonal, but there's a square here more or less that is New Hampshire and Vermont, and you divide it diagonally or kind of north-northeast diagonally. This part is Vermont, this part is New Hampshire. Then Maine has this diagonal northeast coast. It comes up here. I kind of think of it as having a funny hat, like a fez, I don't know. It goes up and over and down, and this is all border with Canada because New Brunswick's gonna be here, but we're not doing Canada right now, but that'll be New Brunswick. There's Maine. Now we just have our Great Lakes, which I find kind of tricky. Lake Superior pokes its nose down into Minnesota like this and comes over. There's a little peninsula there, and then it goes on. And a little bit, maybe halfway across Indiana, maybe a little more. Up here it goes up kind of sharply and comes back down. Like Michigan is just a kind of big deflated balloon that droops up here and then connects to Lake Huron, which comes down on the other side. Michigan famously looks like an oven mitt. So there's a thumb of the oven mitt there. That's part of Lake Huron. Lake Huron kind of has three lobes. There's a little one, and there's the bigger one, and then it's got another lobe that just sticks out over there and comes over here and connects with Michigan. Superior is supposed to be bigger than Huron, but whatever. Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. This is the state of Michigan, and this is Wisconsin, except that from about here, there's a little diagonal cutoff, and this is also Michigan, the part called the Upper Peninsula. Even though technically it isn't exactly a peninsula because it connects except for a river over here, but whatever. And here's Wisconsin. And that is the continental United States. Now, Alaska's way up there, but we'll draw it here. It's a big old state. I'm not very good at drawing it, but oh well. Kind of looks like an elephant head, but the elephant's got a big forehead, and then some kind of weird little wart in the middle, and then it's got a trunk. Well, I didn't leave enough room for the trunk. The trunk trails way off here, and into islands. And then, well, I really didn't leave enough room for Alaska. Oh well. It's also got a long panhandle that sticks down and robs a lot of the coast from British Columbia. And Hawaii is a chain of islands. I didn't really practice Hawaii, but they get smaller as they tail off to the west-northwest. So that's the Big Island, Hawaii, and Oahu, and some other there. Okay, that is my quick United States, not worrying too much about exact shapes of borders. I will do another version where I try to be a little bit more accurate with the Olympic Peninsula and the zigzag and the Arizona border and things like that. Like I said, only worry about that second version if you want to learn to draw the United States even prettier because it's your country. This is more than plenty to remember where all the states are and how they connect to each other. All right.